Okay, part 3 then of our Tame Your Insulin module, and I'm going to use a little bit of an analogy to paint a picture of what's going on in your body with regards to insulin and energy and all this kind of stuff, and how the way that you eat and the way that you control your insulin has a massive impact on fundamentally weight loss. That's what we're talking about here, is controlling weight. I know that people you know, they want the FOODFACTS course because they want to control emotional eating and all this kind of stuff, but there, you know, I don't know many people that are actually happy the way that they are. Even people that have got great figures want to lose a few pounds and all this kind of stuff, and it doesn't necessarily mean that just because they've got a great figure that they have got great health and you know, they're not insulin resistant and all this kind of stuff. So this analogy is the simplest way you can think of as explaining how we should control sugar and insulin and all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to use the analogy of a fridge, and also I'm just going to do a little bit of drawing here. Imagine that this is like a door, and this door, oops, bit of a crap step. Oh God, another one. Right, hang on. Let me just get rid of this. This door leads down out from the kitchen down to the cellar, and in the cellar we've then got a large chest freezer. Okay, so everyone, you may have one yourself, or you may have seen one, other people, your friends might have one or whatever, but everyone pretty much knows what a chest freezer is. This is my appalling drawing of a chest freezer down here, and this is obviously the fridge, which I haven't drawn. I've found it in this little program. So this is the kind of the analogy that I want to use, and I want you to think about the way that we use these appliances in the kitchen. So obviously the fridge, oh my God, what the hell's going on in the fridge? You know, this is food that we can eat straight away, pretty much. All right, we don't need to do a great deal with it. A lot of foods that we have in the fridge is ready to eat. You can just consume it straight away, and you know, if it does need cooking, then you know, you don't need to bother defrosting it and all this kind of stuff. We get the idea. It's there, it's ready, bang, it's dead easy to eat. And then the chest freezer though is much different. We've got to defrost it. We've got to go through down into the cellar, you know, bloody find the torch or whatever. And there's, you know, it's much more of an embuggerance to use food from the chest freezer. However, the benefit is that you can store it for much longer. You can get much more in there. All right. And once you've actually defrosted it, we get a lot from it. All right. So big chunks of meat or whatever, things in bulk. Now, this is a lot like energy in our body. We have got the sugars that are in our bloodstream, in our liver, stored in our muscles that we can use straight away. We don't have to do a great deal with it. It's dead easy for the body to do it. Okay, it prefers to run on that. Or it doesn't necessarily prefer to run on it, but it just runs better on it. All right, okay, so that's sugar. And then down here, this is like fat. This is like body fat stored. You know, it's energy stored in the body. But in order for the body to use it, it's kind of got to mess around with it a bit. You know, it's got to change the molecular structure to release, you know, glucose and all this kind of stuff that we won't get too much into. But I want you to think about this analogy, because whenever we spike insulin, whenever sort of insulin is present, it kind of slams this door shut. And not only does it sort of slam the door shut, but to the best of my ability, I'm going to try and draw a little, get that for a padlock. It kind of puts a lock on it, right? So it's even harder to get down into all these fat stores and use that. And then what it will tend to do, okay, is it will predominantly use sugars to fuel itself, okay? It won't even bother going down into the cellar because it's just going to use the sugars, a constant supply of sugar, as the predominant source of energy. Okay, this is what kind of happens. Now, let's just zoom out a little bit away from insulin. Imagine now that we're controlling our calories that we're consuming, but we're still spiking insulin. All right, so we're still doing these big spikes, and we cross this threshold where the body will store any excess energy as body fat. Now, what if you're eating in such a way that there is no excess of energy? What happens then? Bearing in mind that this door is locked. The minute this goes spiked, this door is locked. We can't easily tap into this. Okay, So where's this energy going to come from if we're starving ourselves? And what will happen is this is when the body starts to break down its muscle to convert that into energy that we can use. All right, and this is where restrictive diets, they ruin our metabolism. Paula and I have got a great friend who won The Biggest Loser. I'm not going to tell you when, and his metabolism is shot. He really, really struggles because when he was on this TV show, they restricted his calories so much that he just ruined the function of his body, and it's really hard for him now to lose weight because he's messed around with it. So, this is one of the reasons why you've really got to be careful about restrictive diets. Physiologically, mentally, there's a whole host of other reasons why they're not great. And I'm not diet bashing here, I'm just saying that these are some of the problems. So obviously, what we want to do is we want to be able to unlock this door, right? So let's get rid of the padlock. We want to be able to unlock the door so that we can go down into the cellar and we can get our energy from here, our fat stores. If we're looking to burn fat, when people talk about I just want to tone up, when people just want to slim down, I just want to tighten my muscles, get rid of my bingo. What we are talking about every time is body fat. We want to get rid of body fat. It's as simple as that. People get a little bit upset about the word fat. It's a 3-letter word that we get it's a bit insulting or whatever. But this is it. This is what we're dealing with. It's getting rid of excess body fat. Well, how are we going to do that if we can't tap into these stores? This is why it's so important that we control insulin so we can get this door open. We can get down into the cellar and we can start getting into these stores here. And, like I said, it's harder for the body to use this, but only for, it just takes a little bit of time to adapt to be able to do this really, really well. Our bodies are so used to working out the fridge that it just takes a bit of time to practice to get it going properly. But the health benefits are massive. And one of the biggest ones is that our body starts to give up weight. Instead of us trying to burn it or get rid of it, it gives it up. We get the subtle difference there. It's like trying to get a stick out of a dog's mouth. If you're wrestling it, the dog will fight you. He'll think it's a game, But if you give it a ball, something more attractive, it'll drop the stick and come and get the ball. It gives up the stick, and this is the difference. So by coming at it, instead of trying to lose weight in this traditional method of controlling calories in, calories out, which actually fundamentally, it doesn't work in my experience, because the one thing that doesn't account for is emotions, human choice. Yes, we all know we should be choosing the salad, but we don't do it. Our choice gets in the way. Anyway, side thing. So, the body will give up the weight, And here's another interesting thing, that as well as storing energy in our body, our fat cells have another job, which you may not know of. And that job is it acts as the rubbish bin of the body. So any toxins that build up in the body wants to get it away from the major organs and out of the body, and what it will do is it will send it to the fat cells and it will store it in the fat cells. It holds toxins away from our body as well. So we'll start to detoxify ourselves by getting rid of the body fat and all this kind of stuff. Little caveat on that, you have got to go through a process of detoxification, but hey, this is down the line. We'll come on to this later on in different videos. So this is our little analogy about the fridge and the freezer. Right now, you're probably working constantly out of the fridge and you've got to constantly keep topping it up. And there's a whole host of stores of energy down in the cellar, but we're not allowing ourselves to tap into it. We control our insulin, it'll open the door, it gets rid of the padlock, and we can get down there. And we can go through this process of learning to burn fats again. And it can take 2 weeks, I'll be honest with you. And it can feel a little bit crap at times. You can feel like you haven't got a right lot of energy, but the benefits are massive. All right. So that's it. We're gonna wrap it up now. I'm gonna move on to part 4, which we're gonna talk about. How do we put our meals together? How do we structure them in such a way that we can start to control insulin. And remember, we're going to do this on a basic level, on a group setting. You know, this is going to be relevant to everybody. As you go on with your food facts training, or maybe you join the Conquer Food community, we can go much more specific into your individual eating, you know, and teach how you can change the meals that you're actually eating and make them better in order to control the insulin. Okay, any questions, as always, ask them in Facebook, and I'll see you in the next video.